that sounds like a different strategy again, but.
Well, you're bringing it more locally then, eh?
It's almost the same, I guess, yeah.
Well, I think here's the benefit of a quick reaction. I think the benefit to that system would be that I'm not losing degrees through the lines, and I'm not running water, wasting it, waiting for it to get to where I am. So it sounds like, you know, the way that this home is laid out, and I can see obviously we've got 2 point of use centers, one over there, one over here. Yeah, it would make good sense to have the water ready and available. Now, the other benefit is that you're running 2 much smaller heaters, and so if you find that the lion's share of the water consumption goes on this end, that one really is not doing very much, as opposed to using one larger heater and it may be firing needlessly. Yeah, so that sounds like a good approach.
So what kind of a heater are you going to be using for water?
Electric cover heaters.
So are you using like an instant one, or are you using a hot water tank?
Yeah, hot water tank.
Oh, okay.
But we've got to store hot water anyway, so we've got the solar thermal, so
right.
We're storing it someplace.
Have to store it, yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, barring a solar system, you know, if you're using, let's say, natural gases, you know, then that might be something to go to a tankless.
Well, I thought the tankless weren't, mind you, this was a while ago I heard this, but I thought that tankless were not that advisable here simply because of the unbelievably cold weather we have outside during the winter, and I thought that there was some issue with the exhaust.
There's been a couple of issues with it, and one of the issues was exhaust. And here's the challenge that we face in Saskatchewan. And you know, any responsible mechanical contractor does a lot of their own. Well, put it this way: we need to do product selection as experts and advise you carefully. That's the responsibility of our industry. You know, whether it be the wholesale level, or it be the mechanical contractor level, is to sometimes tell homeowners, "I know you read that on the brochure, but it's not something that really works geographically where we are." You know, and that's where organizations like Canadian Institute of Plumbing and Heating comes in, because they'll screen products and say, yeah, that's a great product, it's widely used in Asia. Geographically, they've got a different climate is usually the fundamental issue, and water type can be the other issue too. So, you know, we got to rely on the contractors in the area that you're building too, because water conditions may not lend themselves very well to, you know, different products, and tankless being one of them. So let's talk about tankless. The challenges that tankless has had, and they are addressing them, is, again, you know, the world loved the idea. You know, Western world loved the idea of this. Oh, everybody's using them in Europe, and everybody's using them in Asia. Boy, we're so far behind the rest of the world. True. Here's the difference between Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, and the rest of the world. First of all, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada is vastly inundated with basements. The rest of the world is not. Basements is just not something that we see. You know, I don't think there's maybe half a dozen basements south of Mason-Dixon line. And that is for a number of reasons. You know, we have basements because we need to dig our water lines in much deeper because it's bleeding cold. So it gives us access to our infrastructure, our water, etc. by having a basement under the home, or a dugout spot. You know, where we go down to closer to the equator, where most of the people in the world live, move a little soil, run a water line into the home, and on you go. So we're afforded the space of having a tanked system, whereas space is way bigger concern if you don't have a basement. So, or you're living in a 220-year-old brownstone that's been retrofitted into a modern place. Then we go, okay, let's find a spot in the closet that we can mount some hot water heat. So what works for them doesn't always work for us, and here's the challenge that we have with tankless. Tankless are built on the principle of, I'm going to take groundwater temperature water and I'm going to raise it up to where the homeowner wants comfort. And in Saskatchewan, that's a significant amount of difference. Okay? Well, the difference between your incoming water temperature and your outgoing water temperature was referred to in the industry by delta T. Not the same delta over here, this is called delta T. That differential between incoming and outgoing water temperature. In Saskatchewan, that can be 90 degrees between what the water comes out of the ground in November, December, January, February, and what I want to get into the bathtub in. That's a lot of energy to recover. So those tankless heaters will only spit that water out as fast as they can achieve that delta T. So they can only come out as fast as it raises it up. Because we have such a more substantial number for that water to be raised up to temperature, it comes out a lot slower. And this is where we run into some problems. Flow rates have been as poor as 2.5 gallons per minute. Now again, I shared with you earlier that kitchen faucets and basin faucets and showers were commonly running at 2.5 gallons per minute as a poor but current industry standard. So that means that a homeowner had a tankless water heating product, and they went into the shower, and then I went to the kitchen sink. There isn't enough hot water for both. You know, it literally peters off. So it became a tremendous annoyance because there was, again, a compromise between, you know, convenience and energy. Was there energy to be saved? No question there was. But the unfortunate thing is that it wasn't real practical at that 2.5 gallons per minute. So some more engineering went into that, and they're working through it, and I understand that their performance has almost doubled since that point. So that was a problem that plagued, and we start to hear the negative about any product usually by about the time they sorted it out. And that's the case with that. So the performance was one issue with them being, an, again, geographical challenge, of course. Saskatchewan, really bleeding cold water. That's just not something they had to work on because we are a very small market. You know, major manufacturers are not going to go to research and development to sell the kind of water heaters you can sell into Canada when you're turning them over in Asia. But they've, you know, under pressure, they've started to get that product in line for us on a performance standpoint. The other challenge was, again, geographic, and again, a good day to be talking about it today because it's minus 30 out. It was the cold. And because of the venting, like you mentioned, the venting, these units are direct venting. So that means that they're going to eject their products of combustion out of the home, carbon monoxide and other, you know, gases out of the home, and they're also going to draw their products, draw intake air in through that same avenue. So direct venting can be direct venting through the roof or direct venting out the side walls. What it means is that it takes in and exhausts out of the home. It doesn't draw any air from the home, and it doesn't allow any products of combustion or carbon monoxide back in the home. Because of direct venting, they used an approach called concentric direct venting, which meant the exhaust was a pipe like that, and then surrounding that pipe was a larger pipe, which is our intake pipe. And they were in direct proximity to one another, one within the other, therefore the term concentric. When you start to exhaust products of combustion out of the home in Saskatchewan, it's really cold, you get steamy air coming straight out of the pipe, and immediately it looks for it starts to turn to frost. And if you've got a conductive material nearby and it happens to shoulder up to it, it freezes just like that. And aluminum was a big problem like that. So, you know, some of the aluminum terminations and even the stainless steel terminations that they were using were starting to frost themselves up, and then there was no air intake allowed, and the unit would shut down. This is also something true of high efficiency furnaces. High efficiency furnaces were designed for this market, and so when the venting for them came out, they came out in a plastic vent. At the time it was an ABS vent, black sewer pipe was what we used, and of course plastic doesn't have a very good conductivity. It generally doesn't get cold enough, or as cold for that frost to adhere to. We still have those challenges, but metal pipes were certainly a problem. So again, you know, there's some challenges. The way that they get past that, they're still using commonly the same type of venting, but the way we've gotten past that is we're educating ourselves as installers and saying, okay, there's locations that we can and cannot put that venting and have good performance, or what we call good piping practice, you know, and that's a matter of education, you know, going to the clinics and learning how to properly install them. So at the root of it, do I want to put a tanked heater in? Do I want to put a tankless water heater in? Some of that is going to be an environmental decision, no question. A lot of that has to be considered on an economic standpoint too. Frankly, a tanked water heater is a fairly drag it to the curb, replace it product. They're designed that way, they're built that way, they're intended to be, you know, Regina, they rent them. Many, you know, there's rental companies that'll tow it to the curb and kick it off after 5 years whether it's good or not. In Saskatchewan, or in Saskatoon specifically, we get commonly hassle-free for 12 years. Tankless heaters are something that needs more maintenance, no question, because they have a lot of water going through very small pores. It's just like running raw water through your radiator. You know, you have to keep that clean so that we don't get sedimentary buildup and then a loss of performance. But at the end of the day, certainly are a lower footprint product, if installed right, should be pretty hassle-free. So that's the jury's out on that. Arguments can be made on both sides. There's space-saving benefits to going to the tankless, no question about it. There's endless hot water from a tankless. That's also a big benefit, whereas tank has only so much water they can offer you. But they're certainly more expensive and need some maintenance in an ongoing way. Yeah.
Do you have access to natural gas?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Does Frontier have anything with grey water recycling, and do they have anything with rainwater capture, or, you know, some of the edgier stuff that we need to get our hands on? Try to find
Rainwater
it.
capture is not edgy, they've been doing it for centuries.
I know,
Yeah.
you try and find a
It's
rainwater
kind of
capture
It's
system.
kind of a water wheel approach, yeah, it's pretty common.
But, you know, I've been looking for a while. I know I talked to Julie about it. She
Mm-hmm.
said she thought she could find something, but, you know, we just haven't.
The answer is yes. With gray water is still you know, a challenging area, no question about it. You know, as a wholesaler, that means that the products that we choose, we're responsible to put into the hands of plumbers, and so we have to be the first one to be careful about you know, what's going to reliably work and what's got you know, what's got its I's dotted and T's crossed to hit the market. It makes us a little bit slow and reluctant to get out on the leading edge. Rainwater capture, absolutely. In the market of Saskatoon, I don't deal in what's referred to as waterworks. Waterworks is something that we're very big into in Alberta. Our Edmonton and Calgary branch are industry leading on the waterworks side of thing, and from rain capture, no question, there's products available there. Unfortunately, as I shared earlier, you know, I'm new with the organization in Saskatoon, and the amount of product is dizzying, and so I'm still getting a grip on that. But you know, I'd love to entertain it in the future.
We get a lot of questions about it in here. You know, there's no, like, it's not like this waterworks is a system that you can buy and install. Right now, we're looking for a tank, and we're looking for a filter, and we're looking for all this stuff separately, pumps.
Yeah, well, waterworks is really an industry that deals in pumps, rain capture, larger things like groundworks for high rises, that kind of thing. There's sort of plumbing supply, and then there's waterworks, which is sort of the more the commercial end.